A winter storm still appears poised to produce snowfall, ice, and potential heavy rain with severe weather across the United States. A complicated weather forecast as we go through the next 7 days. And then behind it, we could see some Arctic air moving in across the United States and North America as we go through the middle of December, leading up to your Christmas holiday. So thank you all for watching here. Hopefully everybody's having a wonderful start to their week out there. Today is November 24th. It is Monday, November 24th of 2025. Welcome back. My name's Hunter. We're going to be covering Canada, the United States, and the tropics on my weather forecast moving forward. So if you want more up-to-date, straightforward, informative weather updates, you subscribe to this channel. So subscribe, like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it. Definitely appreciate that. Hype it as well. Also follow me over there on Facebook for quick, informative, and straightforward weather updates there as well. We're going to be doing that from here on out. So we got 181 followers on Facebook. We'd love to hit 200, 250 today. That'd be awesome. So go over there and follow that. Now let's look here at the big picture across the lower 48. We got a low pressure system here across Kansas with a cold front attached to it down here through portions of Texas. This is what's going to be causing us some issues as we go for the next 24 hours as far as a severe weather and heavy rain standpoint. Then you see this feature up here across portions of the northern Rockies from Montana down into Wyoming. That'll be nosing its way into the Midwest, deepening as it does so. This is going to be bringing some Arctic air with it, but this could actually coalesce into a winter weather event across the Great Lakes just leading up to the Thanksgiving holiday. So we focus on the severe weather threat here today. Make sure to have multiple ways to receive severe weather watches and warnings. We have a slight risk in yellow from East Texas into Louisiana and Mississippi. Dark green surrounding that as a marginal risk. So a level 1 in the dark green out of 5, a level 2 in the yellow out of 5. That is a slight risk of severe weather. So isolated to scattered severe weather will be possible for today. And then going into the day on Tuesday, that shifts further east into more of Alabama, into Georgia, eastern Tennessee, including the Smoky Mountains, Cumberland Plateau, up there into southeastern portions of Kentucky, and perhaps the very far western areas there in the Carolinas. But today is where we have a heightened risk for tornadoes. You see this brown shaded color. That is a 5% chance of tornadoes within a 25-mile point of any given area here. So around East Texas, Tyler, Texas, College Station, down towards Houston, into Shreveport, Monroe, all the way down toward Lake Charles and Baton Rouge, including Jackson, Mississippi, Vicksburg. We're going to be keeping a very close eye on those folks as we go throughout the day. So let's look here at the storm system. Heavy rainfall setup, by the way, with it as well, from Texas up into southeastern Oklahoma into the Razorback state of Arkansas. And you can see as we go into the afternoon, more heavy rainfall will continue to spread eastward and northeastward, getting into the Tennessee Valley overnight tonight. Here comes our second feature we're watching. We're going to closely monitor that here in just a moment, but here comes the rain again. If you are traveling for Thanksgiving the next couple of days, it will be a rainy go of it across the eastern seaboard with a lot of green. This means it's all rain. I don't feel we're going to have wintry precipitation throughout the week, and this goes through Wednesday around midday and still seeing some rain showers along the eastern seaboard. Heavy rainfall, like we mentioned, is going to be a concern, especially here in North Texas, where we saw flash flood emergencies a few days ago. I do feel we have very saturated soil here, so more 2 to 4 inch variety rainfall amounts can be expected. We've already seen an inch or so of rain in Dallas at the airport here today. We're likely going to see that stretching further east with an inch to 3 inches possible there from Arkansas into Louisiana, much of the Dixie Alley, all the way eastward to the Carolinas, and then obviously up to the north and east. Tennessee, Kentucky could see an inch or so of rainfall. This goes through the morning of Thanksgiving on November 27th. And there is a reason why the Weather Prediction Center does have that slight risk for flash flooding, including East Texas, Arkansas, northern Louisiana, getting into Mississippi. That's where the flash flooding threat will continue as we go through the next 24 hours. Marginal risk further east as we go into Tuesday. This is more for Atlanta, Chattanooga, and then over there toward Asheville, North Carolina, where a slight risk or, a slight chance for flooding risk will be going into Tuesday. Now let's look at the northern branch because it's going to be bringing some colder air down from Montana, the northern Rockies over there into Wyoming, and then into the Midwest Great Lakes region as we go through through the week. Notice in blue, that's snowfall, and we're going to be seeing that wrapping in on the backside across the Dakotas, Minnesota, northern Wisconsin here. So the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, Fargo, Bismarck, and Pierre in South Dakota could potentially be seeing some heavier snowfall as we go through the middle of this week, and that could cause some travel delays perhaps across the upper Midwest for any Thanksgiving travel. As we go into Thanksgiving itself, it actually may become a lake effect snow machine up here for the lakes, so make sure that you are ready for that. If you live near Lake Michigan, Lake Superior, Lake Huron, or Erie, it's going to be very, very snowy up there. Snowstorm for Ontario and Quebec, Canada, also likely Wednesday and into Thursday. Snowfall amounts are going to be heaviest near the lakes, but we could have some grassy surface accumulation across the Dakotas, Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, where an inch or two of snowfall will be possible through the morning of Thanksgiving on November 27th. Looking at the wind through the morning of Thanksgiving, going to be a windy one this week as well. Winds will be picking up from west to east Tuesday into Wednesday, and then going into Thanksgiving Day on Thursday. Wind gusts could be in excess of 40 miles per hour across portions of the Midwest, Great Lakes, and the Ohio Valley here for the late portion of the week. So make sure to hang on to your hats out there. Going to be windy. Temperature trends looking pretty warm here throughout the early portion of this week. That's simply why we have the rainfall here and not a lot of snow, is just because our temperatures are so warm. And our anomalies here in the east are hanging around 20, 30 degrees above normal. That's simply not going to get the job done for the snow. But here comes the colder air on the backside. And for Thanksgiving, this could be one of the coldest Thanksgivings in a few years across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. See these green anomalies around 20 degrees below normal. So definitely seeing a chill in the air as we go into Thanksgiving. And looking here at the weather impacts, we have the lake effect snow we just mentioned, and then that snowstorm in southeastern Canada, Ontario, Quebec. The rainfall should be wrapping up across the eastern seaboard, so we should be dry for Thanksgiving. Strong high pressure, 1032, 1037 high pressure, double-barreled area of high pressure there in the central U.S. Going to promise lots of sunshine, but those gusty northwesterly winds importing that cold air. And then here comes our next system in the Pacific Northwest as we go into Thanksgiving. So this could be a rainy one for Seattle and Portland, Eugene and Medford, and then some snowfall into the higher elevations of the Rockies for Thanksgiving. And we look at Thanksgiving wind, it's going to be breezy over here in the Great Lakes and New England. So make sure again that you are securing any loose objects outdoors, because it could be wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour at times, especially near the lakes as we go throughout the day on Thanksgiving. Now, after Thanksgiving is when the weather pattern turns more wintry. I know we got to wait another week or so. Look at the high pressure ridge spiking all the way up to the Bering Strait and all the way to the Arctic Circle here north of Alaska. That is going to promise a dislodgement of some cold air from the Arctic all the way down here into southern Canada and the lower 48. In fact, the tropospheric polar vortex will set up shop just near the Hudson Bay as we go into the first few days of December. And this is going to promise not only some colder air, but an active weather pattern. So you mix those two together and you can guess it. We have a winter storm potential as we go through the first 5 days of December. And it's a very active pattern here. A lot of green, which means above normal precipitation across the middle of the country. Let's go through the model guidance here. The European model showing that northwesterly flow. So a clipper system is what is called an Alberta clipper, moving out of Alberta, Canada and Saskatchewan down into the northern Rockies again, similar to the one this week. Although this one's going to have a little bit more moisture with it. Could be bringing some snow for places like Peoria, Chicago, Indianapolis, Detroit, and Grand Rapids as we go into Saturday for next weekend on November 29th. And then rainfall further to the south. Again, that rainfall could be heavy. Some isolated severe weather could also result. That snowfall will be moving over toward New England, mainly on the Canadian side of Ontario and Quebec, though, as we go to the end of the month. And then potentially another few clipper systems moving down behind that with that cold northwesterly flow. The European model does show several inches of accumulation across the Midwest. It's important to look at the placement, not exactly the snowfall amounts. We'll have preliminary numbers of snowfall amounts once we get to about Wednesday here when we have more confidence. But again, areas in Des Moines, Chicago, Indianapolis, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Green Bay, and Milwaukee, you guys could all see that snowfall here as we go through the first 5 days of December, and it could be heavy. And then the GFS model, very similar. You got that system moving down. The GFS is phasing these systems faster, which means it's going to bring warmer air further north, and the snowfall will be further north, significantly further north here by 100, 200 miles than the European model was just showing. So that would have a big difference here in the snowfall. It would be further north into Minnesota, the Dakotas, and northern Wisconsin versus areas down here into Iowa, northern Illinois. But again, there could be a secondary track that could bring snow into the Central Plains and the Ohio Valley, lower Midwest region through the first 5 days of December. Rainfall, European model, the heaviest down near the Gulf Coast into the Carolinas with a couple of inches there. So for New Orleans, Pensacola, all the way up there through Columbia and Raleigh, could be seeing some of that. The GFS model much further to the north. So again, this is the deal we're thinking of here. Any shifts north-south with the rain or the snow could make a big difference, where look at the Gulf Coast on the GFS barely seeing any rain. And then again, unfortunately, this would be worst case scenario. If the GFS model was right, it would bring heavy rainfall again to North Texas, Arkansas, up into Tennessee, which would be several inches of rainfall. And this model in particular showing up to 12 inches of rain with that. So that would be some bad news if that did unfold. Hopefully it does not occur. Looking here at the colder air behind these systems, we're going to have waves of Arctic air. It looks like it starts to moderate towards that middle of December, and then here comes another punch of cold air right before Christmas. That could be another snow system we have to watch. But just again, the snow line will be shifting south as we go through Christmas Day. So even the southern states, yes, you could see some snowflakes. You're going to have to wait a while, but I do feel that there will be snow opportunities further south with time. I think the best opportunity for a white Christmas this year, obviously the mountains out west, but the north and the northeast, and especially southeastern Canada, where a heavy snow track could be lining up for Ontario and Quebec for this December coming up. So thank you all for watching. Subscribe, folks. We cover Canada, the United States, and the tropics. Like the video, share it, hype it. Also follow me on Facebook for more. The link for my Facebook page will be in the description down below the video. Also in the comment section, pinned to the top of the comment section down below the video. Thanks for watching. Have a safe, wonderful rest of your Monday out there.